How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Foggins Media Corner back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to the movie review, aka After I Saw. This time it's going to be on Moana 2. Now, of course, this is a 2024 animated musical adventure film, and this is, of course, the sequel to 2016's Disney's Moana. And in this film, this is set 3 years after the events of the first movie, where we follow Moana, who reunites with Maui, and she assembles a wayfinding crew to find the lost island of Motufitu to break its curse and reconnect the people of the ocean. So that's pretty much the story of Moana 2. Now, when it comes to the first Moana movie that came out in 2016, I absolutely adore that movie. It is generally one of my favorite Disney movies to come out in the last few years. I absolutely love everything about that movie, from its overall beautiful animation to the memorable characters to its engaging storytelling and, of course, its catchy songs. But since Disney have been doing so well in recent years, you know, back in 2023, it was supposed to be that big year because they did turn 100 years old, and they even did make a movie to honor its 100th birthday, which was, of course, Wish, which was a movie I was looking forward to seeing, but that film turned out to be just a giant pile of mediocrity, and I was slightly disappointed with that movie. But Disney had to make up something for that, and so they decided to make a sequel to one of their biggest hits, which was, of course, Moana. But after I saw this movie, unfortunately, I wouldn't say this was a terrible movie, and I wouldn't necessarily say it was much worse than Wish. I would say this film was slightly better than Wish, but it was a sequel. I just found to be just generally just decent. The story for the sequel I just felt was relatively similar to its predecessor, while it tends to add in some new characters here who join along with Moana and Maui on this adventure that we do follow within the sequel. Although when it comes to these new characters in the sequel, they're not too bad. Even though there's actually one of them who I thought was kind of funny, in which this character is obsessed with like Maui and his history, and he often makes fan arts of himself with Maui, and I found that character to be quite funny in the sequel. However, there was like one other character in the film who I thought was going to be like the villain in the film, but it turns out like there's no major villain whatsoever in the sequel, which that was pretty strange. But when it comes to its humor in the sequel, there are often times where the humor does work for me, even though it tends to rely on a few callbacks to the original Moana film, and there are often times where there are a few moments with the creatures that we do see in the sequel. And when it came to the humor for the creatures that we do see in this movie, I just felt it just did not work for me in the slightest when it came to some of that within the sequel. But when it comes to the songs themselves, they're fine, but they're nowhere near on the same level as the original Moana film with the songs in that film, because the songs in that film again are just so timeless and just so catchy, like the song like Shiny and other songs that we all know and love from that movie. And when it comes to the animation here, it is still absolutely stellar like its predecessor in terms of the way it's made, especially for like the water animation, which the animation for the water in these movies are just absolutely amazing, and yeah, they're just so realistic to look at. But in the end, guys, Moana 2, unfortunately, it isn't as shiny as its predecessor, but again, it's not a bad sequel. It's just one I just tend to find just being just pretty decent in the slightest. I'm going to give Moana 2 3 out of 5. Certainly not a bad sequel overall here, and I would even say it's certainly nowhere near as better than the previous sequel that we did get before from Disney back in the summer of 2024, which was, of course, Inside Out 2, which was a much better sequel than this sequel here overall. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my A After I Saw review on Moana 2, and I'd like to know what you guys think of this sequel, if you've already seen the sequel, or if you just recently checked this one out. And as always, this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.